What's up, guys? Back again. I stopped by Taco Bell. Had to get a few tacos for dinner. Just thinking about something, guys. Do families still have movie night? I pulled up to this Taco Bell here, and I got to thinking back in the 90s. These last two buildings here used to be a Blockbuster video. And I remember back in the, I'm going to say back in the mid to late 90s, all the way up until like the 2000s, we'd have like Friday night, Saturday night, we'd have movie night. We'd come up here and rent videos, and we'd stop and get some snacks or order a pizza, get some ice cream, and just go home and have a movie night. Watch, we'd rent 2 or 3 movies sometimes, and we just go back and have a movie night. I didn't know if family still did that or not. I kind of miss the days of going into Blockbuster and renting movies. And guys, even before that, in the 80s and 90s, it was VHS tapes. You'd go in and rent VHS tapes. And if you didn't have a VCR, it was no issue. You could rent a VCR too. You could rent everything, of course. In the mid 80s, we bought we finally were fortunate enough to be able to buy a VCR. And those VCRs back in the 80s, mid 80s, were still, anywhere from $200 to $400. So they weren't cheap. Like now you can walk in a secondhand thrift store or something and pick up a VCR for, anywhere from 10 to 20 bucks. And they're a little bit higher, some of them now, because it's kind of the retro aspect of it. I guess they're coming back in style a little bit, kind of like vinyl records did. But I don't know, guys. I saw these buildings, and it reminded me when it used to be a Blockbuster video. And I remember all the good times of going out and renting movies and having movie night. And like I said, even back to the 80s and 90s when we'd rent VHS tapes. And like I said, you could rent the VCR if you needed it too. But we did that some. We finally bought a VCR probably in the mid 80s, and it was around anywhere from $200 to $400. When they first come out in the late 70s, it was nothing for a VCR to cost $1,000 to $1,500 or so. So it's kind of crazy back then and stuff like that. Kind of crazy how it is now. But anyway, guys, if you were lucky enough to grow up in the 80s, 90s, and even up until the early 2000s, then you were lucky.